Hi, this is Sherry Veronica. Sometimes people think that the person who donated the egg and the sperm that fertilized the egg, sometimes people think that the donors should be living in the house and raising the child or the children that came from that combination of things. But these are strange times. These are different times. And you're going to have to learn to live in separate quarters. The male needs his space, and he needs to, even if he lives close, but he needs to live away from the house. In many cases it's best for the guy to live away from the main house that has the female and the children. And the female, she has got to learn to cope with that, and she has got to learn that before she allows her eggs to be fertilized, she should be in a place where she can support the rearing of whatever comes from it. And you're lucky when you have a child that's not sick, okay? But you have to prepare. You have to be prepared, ladies. You have to be prepared for the child, raising the child mostly on your own, and allowing the guy to have his space and come and visit, play with them, put them on his knee and play with them, and then push off. We have to look to nature and see what is done in the 99.99999% in nature, when most of the time they don't have the male in that space where young children are being raised. You will have aunties, you will have sisters, and you will have moms, but the males, they go off and they do their own thing. Now this guy, this soldier, his name is, he's 37 years old. I'm saying that first. Kemar Dottin. He's a 37-year-old BDF soldier. And Kemar Dottin, he actually resided in the same house as the woman, Tamia Roach. And the magistrate, Ian Weeks, has asked him to leave the house, move out of the house, okay? Just move out of the house, and he's scheduled to reappear in court this October 22nd. And it seems though that came about because there was a dust up, and it's gonna happen. It's not male bashing now. This is not male bashing. It is you are looking at something that is natural and calling it bad, or saying it shouldn't be so, or you're hoping that domestication holds past 80 years old. When it doesn't, it unravels, and people, guys and females, they're coming to them, they come into their own way. They start to find their way in the world. And yeah, they may not want to embarrass you and everything, but they're gonna go and do things their way. Okay, all that, mom and dad and all what you were teaching them, very few of the instructions you gave them, and the ones that may remain are things that are like, in terms of like, you not getting into like a situation where you end up 6 feet under. It's, people like it 6 feet above, as above so below, but they'd rather be above. Yeah, so you're not going to be able to control someone after a certain age. And males are just what they are. They're just what they are. They want to conquer. They want to dominate. Okay, they want to dominate. They think they own things. And you may be working as a female, you may be doing better than that male, but it cannot accept it. It's never going to accept that you're doing better. They're still going to think that they're in charge, and you should be like subservient to them. Ladies, it's a different time. It's a different day. It's a different zeitgeist. I mean, you need to get out of that way of thinking. I know that when you are looking at the small islands and the island life or whatever, you see people doing little skits, and the man is sitting there and the woman is putting food at the table, on the table in front of him. That's crazy. That's some crazy shit you be seeing. Okay? If he wants to eat, let him prepare his meals. The only meals you should be preparing are meals for yourself and your children. Okay? For your children. Let the male have his own place. Be sensible now. Be sensible. You cannot trap them by having children and then want them to stay in the same house, and you want to know where they are and what they do. You cannot trap that particular animal. We're all animals, yes, but that particular one needs you need to have some grace, and you need to come into your senses and some sensibilities about what you're dealing with. You're gonna have to understand that the opposites you don't really attract. You're sleeping with an enemy. You're sleeping with someone who grows bigger and stronger than you are, and who can hurt you and who can hurt your children. It's best to be on better terms. Make sure you're making enough money to support your children. Make sure. I can't say it enough. If your mother didn't tell you that, she doesn't deserve to be called mother. You don't deserve to call her mommy, nothing like that. If the female that birthed you did not look at you as a female and say, you make sure you're able to provide for anything that comes from you, any issue that comes from you, make sure you're able to take care of it. Do not run after no man for no child support. Do not be running after the man, asking him where he is and what he's doing. Make sure that if you want children, you really want the children. Don't do it for no other reason other than you wanting to duplicate yourself. You probably want to see, okay, I want to see what I'm going to look like. You're not going to come out. Whatever you do, it's going to be less than what you are. It's a copy of 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 it, and it degrades as it goes along. It's going to degrade. Okay, at some point they're going to have to start over, and it starts over again. But every issue you're degraded. Okay, so if you're curious about what you look like and you want to have children, make sure that you're curious enough. You're curious enough to be looking in your account. Go on there and check to make sure you have a couple $100,000 or whatever set aside to raise those children. Okay, don't just be curious about what your children are going to look like. Be curious about what your bank account looks like. Be curious about that. Be curious about the big house and adding on the extra bedrooms. Be curious about that. Don't be curious about the man. Don't be curious about no man. Be curious about yourself, that you can support your children and that you can support yourself, and allow him to make sure that he's in a good situation too. But allow him to live apart. Let him live apart from you. And you do your thing. Let him do his thing. If you want to come together every night, if you want to come together and perform some unholy acts, that's up to you. But allow him to go back to his place. Okay, it's really not good. It's really not good to trap them in a house and calling it what? Living together, husband, wife, significant other. It's a trap. You're trapped. It's like it's like trapping a wild animal. It's like you're trapping someone that wants to break out, that wants to break loose. They have to lie. They have to scheme to get out. Why do that? If you really, really like someone, if you really, really like yourself, if you like yourself, you wouldn't punish someone like that. You won't punish because you wouldn't want them to do it to you. Okay, give the guys their freedom. You wouldn't have this situation coming up. The guy's on $4,000 bail. He was ordered to stay off social media, and he has to appear again in court. This is a waste of the guy's time. It's a waste of his time. He ain't got time for this crap. He ain't had time for this crap. He just wanted to put his food and say yes, sir, no, sir, whatever, and just get on with your lives. This is Sherry Veronica. My phone is ringing. It's Sherry Veronica.